Y'all need a pilot?
No, I wanted a better movie. A pilot transports an air marshal accompanying a fugitive to trial. As they cross the Alaskan wilderness, tensions soar and trust is tested, as not everyone on board is who they seem. Okay, since this movie was short and to the point, I'm going to be trying to give you a review that is short and to the point as well. I wasn't bored. I think that's a positive. Let's address the first thing, why you're even curious about this film, and I can say that with 2 words. Wahlberg. It's terrifying, it's mesmerizing, and honestly, I loved it. Mark Wahlberg is pretty much every single type of Mark Wahlberg character you have ever seen, but turned up to 11. Like, he fully let himself loose, even if it is a negative and a positive altogether. He's without a doubt the standout here, for the good and bad. Sure, there are some questionable ADR moments where his lips and dialogue are completely just on different planets. They do not match at all. It's not a whole lot of sequences, but they are noticeable. Every time that he's awake in this film, he steals the show in this over-the-top performance. Unfortunately, when he's out cold, the energy dips big time. And then there's Topher Grace as the witness being transported. I love you, Topher. I've loved you ever since that 70s show. I even loved you back in Spider-Man 3 as Eddie Brock. But here, he is essentially playing Eric from that 70s show, but just not as funny and slightly older. The biggest problem that I had with this character is the amount of times they force comedy in the first half. Where a movie like this should be high tension, they really, for some reason, Mel Gibson wanted to make us laugh, especially with this anxious-driven character. And funny enough, the funniest scene in the whole film is actually not even intended to be one that makes you laugh. Then there's Michelle Dockery playing Madeline, who is also fantastic in The Gentleman. Here, stiff as a board. But when Wahlberg's chaos gets under her skin, she finally comes alive. It's great in these moments, but overall her character just doesn't feel fleshed out enough. And that's funny because her backstory is touched on. There's not enough there to honestly just make me care about these people. Now let's talk about a thing called common sense. You have Daryl, Wahlberg's character, who's cutting away at his cuffs for multiple scenes, and Winston and Madeline never bother to look back. Sure, there's some moments where they're talking to him, but there had to be a lot of time for him to get that amount of tension to cut it off. And there are 2 moments where this happens. It's really frustrating. There's also a weird comedy subplot that happens in the second half of the film with a character named Hassan who is helping Madeline with her flight instructions. And what we get is creepy, awkward dialogue where he is essentially flirting with her at every chance that he can get, and she seems to be kind of receiving it, but I feel like in reality what would happen is, yeah, I'm ending that phone call. In the end, Flight Risk is a tight 90 minutes that had the potential to be a fun, high-octane thriller, but it fumbles its tone and pacing. The script flirts with greatness, but lands somewhere between clunky and confused. Wahlberg's crazy performance makes it worth a watch on streaming. 5 out of 10.